How we can get the lighting better.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Whoa.
let's get that in as
Okay,
well.
cool.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Hey, good evening here. We're live on Facebook Live. We wanted to do our candidate weekly Q&A. I'll have Mark back with me next week. He's over in Amsterdam seeing some of our customer network, so that's fantastic. Hope you had a good weekend. I can see there's a bit of a thunderstorm going on outside this evening, so hopefully you're not caught in the rain if you're in London. We've got 4 questions this week from our candidate network. If you wanted to ask us any questions, you can actually send them to us on Facebook. We'll take the questions live, or you could just send them to us like we do most weeks, and we'll happily answer those questions. We've got 4 this week, and there's some great questions in here this week, so I'm going to kick off with the first question. We've got Najada, is a digital project manager. She's been looking for a new contract, has been out of contract for a month now. She has asked, should she give up and wait till January, or are some customers hiring before Christmas or the December break? Well, I think there are customers definitely hiring, still hiring, and they will be hiring. And in fact, they'll be hiring right up to Christmas. So a lot of the time it could depend on the industry or the role. There's been occasions where we've actually filled roles even on Christmas Day in other regions, in other countries that perhaps don't celebrate Christmas on the same time zone as us. But yes, definitely keep looking if you need to get work, if you need to secure something before Christmas. There are people out there right now that are making decisions, that are getting sign off. Don't forget, it might be something that they need to plan for. And I'm assuming, as you said, you're a contractor, so there's a lot of the times at the moment there could be a candidate that could be have been let go. There might be a hole in the project. There may be a deadline, a completion that they need to get across the line. There could be someone on maternity or paternity leave. There's a whole faction of things that are happening every single day that are changing for organisations, and they need to react to it, and they might need that person. So rather than thinking like there is no opportunity, you won't be able to get started, you certainly will be. And a lot of people can work right up to the 21st of December. They may have a week off during the Christmas period, but equally some companies, some industries will be working pretty much through that Christmas period. So and again, they might call on those resources such as yourself when they have a skeleton crew of their own staff, and they may need to get work and projects completed. So please don't give up and think that if you want to, you might want to enjoy taking a month out before the New Year break, if you could afford to do that. But otherwise, definitely get out there. There is work right now, and I think you just have to keep being proactive and looking for that work. So I hope that helps. We had Henrik ask us on Tuesday, last Tuesday. He's working in Munich as a business analyst, and just asked us, is it worth adding video and blog content to LinkedIn for himself? He's seeing lots of people doing it. I wanted to ask our own advice. And if Mark was sitting next to me, he'd definitely say absolutely 100%. And I would also say the same as well. I think obviously it can be difficult for people if they're not sure what video content to add. If you're a contractor, I think Hendrik down there is a BA. What kind of video content? But it really is about what you want to talk about, the things that you're passionate about, where you can offer value. Maybe you can talk about some of the things that make being a good BA, for example. You can talk through some of the tools that you use. You can even talk about perhaps even doing a review of some of the tools and the software, what it's like to work in an agile environment if you're working in that environment. You could even talk about what it's like to be a contractor working as a BA in Munich. Just some ideas for you. So it's almost like you've got to write down the things that you want to talk about and the content and your audience, and what are you doing it for as well. So who are you trying to resonate with? Is it because you want to build a network of other people that have similar interests to you? You want to give back to other business analysts or aspiring business analysts? Or perhaps you want to build your brand so people, companies, customers might come to you. But I definitely think it's worthwhile, and if you mix that up with video, and you're doing the blogs, and also you're doing audio as well, but if you're doing blogs and again writing about those things, you've got a lot of knowledge, I'm sure, Hendrik, tacit knowledge about how things work in organisations, what works well. Obviously, you don't want to necessarily name those companies, of course, but you can talk about your experiences certainly and what you did and the value you added, maybe even the challenges you had. Then I think if you start with that and start with a list of that kind of stuff, you know, the people who are interested in that will start to follow you. So I hope that works well for you. I look forward to looking out for your first video there. We had a message from Antonio. Antonio is a Scrum Master. He's working up between Stockholm and Gothenburg. Thanks for this, Antonio. Antonio asked, how do you negotiate a longer extension? Antonio, this is a good question. Now, I don't know what you're referring to as a longer extension. However, I'm assuming that if you're on a 3-month contract or a 6-month contract, or perhaps even on a 3-month, you might be getting a 3-month extension, or perhaps you're trying to get a 12-month extension. I think it's difficult to give you a firm answer for this one, Antonio. But what I would say is, if you're going into that company and perhaps you've been there now for 3 months, it really depends on a number of factors of the organisation. Perhaps there's a rule or a process from senior management, senior stakeholders, a CFO, whoever it might be, that in that organisation they will only offer 3-month extensions, which may be the rule there. There may be exceptions to that. You could go back to the company and talk about a longer extension. The fact that it's going to give you better stability to support them, and they're going to get better stability because actually they know that you'll be there for the next, let's say, 12 months. They'll also know how much they're paying for that service, but it certainly will help you, A, for planning, and I'm sure it will help you for logistics, organising accommodation, organising rental agreements. I know that can be always a hassle, and also just having to deal with paperwork every 3 months. So I think it's, going and having a conversation with the business, understanding what the project's needs are for the next 12 months, understanding the value that you could deliver on that, and actually can they get a longer extension signed off by senior stakeholders in the business, and maybe you can get an exception, or you can push that through and share with them the reasons why it's going to help them as much as it's going to help you. Final question was from Michael. Michael is a program manager. Michael, we know you as well. You're based in London, or you work mainly in London. You wanted to just ask what was the market like, and if we saw a pattern of customers hiring right now. Any advice would be appreciated from the customer side. Michael, it's a good question. I think it depends on what level of role that you're working at. So if you're working for a senior position, sometimes things can take a little bit longer to get through. So I think I've certainly seen recently that with some of the senior roles, that there's been a lot of pushback on looking for internal hiring. So although the business may want to go out to hire externals, there perhaps has been pressure on reducing cost and or also utilising existing resources inside of the company. I think perhaps Brexit uncertainty and what's going to happen next year is still perhaps holding some organisations back on these large transformational programs. But certainly there are customers that are hiring and bringing people in and moving forward, because at the end of the day things have to get done regardless of what's happening in the wider world. So I would say, Michael, I wouldn't say it's a pattern. There's certainly companies that are definitely looking at their internal resources probably a lot more carefully right now. But I would say that going into the new year, and even customers right now are hiring. So I think be positive, keep looking. There's lots of people also who are going through the challenges of finding that right next role. So I'm sure that if you keep persevering, you'll get that one as well. That's it for the questions for this week on our Facebook Live. If you've got any questions you want to ask us, you can send them to us via Facebook, or you can send them to us at info@vineresources.com, or just put them in the comments section, and we'll be delighted to answer your questions. If you want to come and join us on the show, we can live you in as well, and we can answer your questions live on air if you're feeling brave. We'll be happy to talk to you about perhaps a challenge you've encountered, and how we can help you. Hope you have a good week, whatever you're up to, and we'll see you soon.